Okay, welcome to the final presentation lecture for Unit 4, in which case we are going to take the 4 P's of marketing and we are going to conclude based off of those 4 P's of marketing that it is marketing itself that determines whether or not a product or service sells. Yes, customers are going to need certain things, but it's the marketing that is going to influence their behavior to purchase different products and services from different producers or from different retailers. So taking a look at this further, let's take a look at 2 questions. First of all, what is involved in marketing a product or service? And then, how do we know, if you are a marketer, how do you know if the marketing has been successful? All right, so let's take a look. First thing we have to do is we have to collect information. This is also known as market research. So has any business collected information about you in the past? How? Chances are they probably have. If you've gone to the mall in Appleton and just walking through the food court, every once in a while you're going to find people who are just looking for random customers to come in and fill out surveys in order to receive feedback based off of consumer use of particular products and services. Many stores, including supermarkets, convenience stores, and department stores, are going to require value customer cards to obtain special discounts. I have one of these for Pick and Save. Now, using this is going to get you different discounts on products that are being promoted within the store, but only if you have these discount cards. Do you think that they should give bargains in exchange for personal shopping information? They could, I suppose, but whether or not we feel like that is overstepping the bounds or whether or not that would be productive would be based off of the marketer and the market research information that is being provided. Now, us as consumers, well, think about that for a second, and maybe we'll discuss it next time we get into class. We'll talk about this question in particular to see if this should be something that should be exchanged. How do we know if the marketing is successful? We do what's called market research. This is the process of planning, collecting, analyzing data relevant to a marketing decision. How do we do that? There are a number of different avenues to do so, and what does that information, that data that's collected represent, and how can we make decisions based on it? Now, why is it important? Well, it helps for a couple of reasons. Market research is going to help reduce risk, business risk, because we have hopefully at least some type of a gauge on whether or not this product is going to be successful in the market or not. It could help spot current and upcoming problems in the market, things that might not have originally been anticipated, but the market research was able to provide, identify sales opportunities, and then also develop plans of action. So if certain things happen, here's our plan of action. Here's how we want to go. Here's how we want to move forward based off the data that we have collected in our market research process. Now, the market research process, step number 1 is determining why market research needs to be completed. There has to be some type of question that's being asked. That question that's being asked needs to be answered. And the market research process is how the question is going to be answered. Once we have the question in place, then we can set objectives, timetables, budget. This is how we want this market research to go. These are the things that we want to accomplish. This is the time frame that we want to accomplish them, and this is how much it's going to cost. And then we're going to determine the research types that are going to be used, methods and techniques to gather the data. Could it be a telephone survey, possibly personal interviews, focus groups, or even paper surveys? All of these are different ways of collecting data from the customer. This is doing market research. Now, different types of data, let's take a look at this for a second, and we will actually be discussing this a little bit more in class, is what is the difference between the 2 different types of data, primary and secondary data? And then when, if you are a marketer, do you want to use primary data, or when is it okay or acceptable or more beneficial to use secondary data? But in order to do that, we have to first define what primary and secondary data is. So primary data is data that has been collected by the researcher. Secondary data is data that was researched by somebody else and is being used for this particular study. So in most cases, there's going to be a combination of the different types of data in a market research process. Maybe some cases there might be exclusively or predominantly primary data, or exclusively or primarily secondary data. Each market research situation is going to be different. Now, if you were the one conducting the market research, let's just say, for example, what would you use? You're the marketing professional now, so what type of marketing research collection method would you use to determine if the following are successful. What would you use to determine whether or not the price of the product is a success? What would you use in order to determine certain types of advertising? Billboard, TV, commercial, newspaper ad, which are the best possible avenues to go for this particular product and why? What about certain types of sales promotions? Do you want to go one route? Do you want to go with rebates? Do you want to go another route? Do you want to go, what do you want to use in order to promote this product? And then how would you determine whether or not that is being a successful way of promoting that product? And then also product placement and the placement of the product. We'll talk about this as in another discussion where we're going to talk about the placement of a product and using product placement to try and influence consumer behavior and get them to purchase different products. I'll actually show you a commercial from a Super Bowl about 5 or 6 years ago, which was an excellent commercial, totally 100% depicting to the extreme of what product placement is. But it can be a very, very powerful and subconsciously powerful behavior influence, I guess you would say, to get consumers to buy certain products. All right, so then after we have completed the first 3 steps, we are going to continue on and design research instruments. So if we decide to use, if we telephone survey or paper survey, we have to write the questions and we have to have that vehicle created. We then collect the data after we take a look at the surveys, the interviews, or the focus group, the feedback from the different groups, and the data that's brought back from those different items, from those different elements of doing the research. We then have to organize the data and kind of start to put it together so we can determine exactly what it's saying. That's step 6, which is the organizing and analyzing of the data. So after we've collected all this data, what does it tell us? What conclusions can we come to? What hypotheses can we formulate based off of that data? Moving forward, decisions need to be made to adjust or possibly stop or start marketing a particular product or service in a particular way or a different way. And then finally, present and use the market research findings. So marketing, you probably, as the marketing manager, you're going to want to present this possibly to the CEO, possibly the CFO, because there's going to be a budget involved with this, and then also allow the CEO to make decisions based off of the data and the research that you've collected moving forward with the marketing plan. So how are we going to market this product now that we have this new data that we just collected and analyzed? Well, how is this going to change how we do things? All right, let's take this, new candy. This is a situation that we'll be going over in class. Let's say, for example, your group wants to create a new type of candy. We're going to go through and answer these different 3 types of questions. What type of collection method would you use? Why? What are at least 5 types of questions that you will ask? Why those questions? And then finally, where or who will you ask these questions to? And why did you decide to go that route? So these are efforts of collecting the data in the market research process. All right, so we already know marketing determines whether or not a product or service sells. That is the basis about marketing. That is why it is so important. That is why there is so much money kicked into it in the business processes. The marketing is a huge element of that to try and generate those sales. And that concludes the Unit 4 presentation lectures. Please make sure that you go back and revisit the slides if needed in order to get the notes to prepare you for your your unit exam. I will see you next time we meet in class.